Okay, so hey YouTube. Tonight's video is about the unexpected benefits of a boob job. And so I know that in the past here I've talked about the reasons why I had it done, but I haven't talked about some of the sort of unexpected perks that I've had along the way that I didn't really think about while I was sitting in the doctor's office getting them sized and things like that. And the first one is that it can potentially remind you of how much people care about you. And so I know this is one that people can't necessarily take for granted, but it makes you feel pretty good when there are multiple people who are willing to take you to surgery, take care of you after surgery, help you with basic chores, things like that, or send you flowers. And having that reminder is a really nice experience, even, and I think this applies regardless of what surgery you have, but yay. Another benefit is the drugs. And so the reason that they call them painkillers is not just because they help deal with physical pain. Painkillers are actually shown scientifically to help you deal with psychological or emotional pain as well. So if you're not in a great place, drugs like Valium or Percocet are going to have a pretty big impact on you. And so I want to be careful here to say that obviously opioids and other powerful drugs like that can be addictive for people. And there was definitely a point in my recovery where it was clear I no longer needed the painkillers and I needed to stop taking them. But during that, sort of 10 days to 2 week time period, when the pain was still pretty rough, that's a pretty good chunk of time there to sort of hit reset on anything else that's going on, whether that was Carolina losing the national championship game the night before my surgery, or something more serious for me, whatever that may have been that I'm not necessarily going to talk about right here. But it's a nice way, if you have the self-control or self-awareness, to use the opportunity to use drugs to kind of hit the reset button. And that's a large part of what a lot of mental health drugs are intended to do. But an unexpected benefit that maybe I needed a little bit more than I wanted to admit. So now that I'm done with the heavy subjects there, let's talk about some of the more lighthearted perks. Number one being the snooze alarm button in my alarm clock. So I'm one of those people who has to leave the alarm on the other side of the room so that I will physically have to get out of bed to turn it off. But that's never really kept me from just jumping right back in bed and sleeping for 9 more minutes. But after or during surgery recovery, it was pretty unpleasant to wake up in the morning, have all that weight shift, have that pressure put on the incisions, and then get back into bed for something that was no longer worth it. And so for the kind of 30 days or whatever it was where that was uncomfortable, I stopped using the snooze alarm. And now that it's no longer as painful, or really painful at all, I'm starting to use the snooze alarm a little bit more again. And so that's something for me to be aware of and for me to continue to work on and try to ride that benefit, because really what this is all about is habit changing. And that's one of the big benefits of going through a life event like this, is that it can help you reset a lot of things if you do it correctly. And they say that it takes 30 days, 45 days, or whatever to build a new habit, but it takes 60 days to get rid of a bad habit. And that is maybe why the snooze alarm is a little bit more troublesome for me than other things. And so those other things include eating more reasonably and drinking more reasonably. And so with drinking, when you're on drugs, particularly antibiotics, alcohol is not your friend. And so when you take a 2-week break, all of a sudden, social drinking becomes less frequent or anything like that. And likewise, snacking becomes less frequent, because even just getting out of bed and going back into the kitchen to grab a handful of chips or whatever isn't worth the effort. And so as a result, then you start to lose weight, and part of that again is the drugs and the fact that they probably do have an impact on your appetite. But as your appetite shrinks, you can get it back into a normal range if you are maybe overeating or overindulging or things like that. And that is something that I do have a lot of experience with from being on the crew team in college and just understanding nutrition and things like that. And so over the past 2 months now, I've probably lost maybe over the past 3.5 or whatever it's been, lost 10 pounds. And so if you go back and look at some of my videos from a few months ago, you can probably see the weight in my face, things like that. And now I'm building these good habits, and the pounds are continuing to come off. And so I guess to kind of summarize this video, surgery can be a really good thing for reasons beyond the surgery itself if you approach it the right way.